Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Nice socks.
Yeah, full disclosure, I'm wearing Ripple socks. I don't know, so. We also own a lot of XRP. I guess that's another disclosure. So, as you can see by the name of my fund. So,
all good.
So I'm not an unbiased observer. So, you're not wearing Ripple socks?
I don't have any. Yeah, can you get me some?
I know a person. Yeah. So you're the founder of Ripple. Would you say that you're a Bitcoin maximalist?
Well, look, everybody loves Bitcoin because it started this whole thing. There'd been many attempts to have sort of a global currency that was not a government currency in the past. Linden dollars was a great example.
Yeah.
Phil Rossdale, amazing entrepreneur. Vermont dollars. You had beans floors. You had a lot of attempts over a long period of time. But Bitcoin kind of changed everything because it was the first, to sort of solve the double spend problem. Yeah. So I think we all owe a great deal of debt to Bitcoin. However, I think it's important to have different technologies that try to solve different problems and maybe do it in a different way.
You took that question that it was a joke and just segued perfectly into, yeah. So please, tell us about why XRP is important.
Yeah, well, I think, for one, when we looked at Bitcoin, we thought, could we do something maybe that improved upon it? And one of the big things was the energy consumption. We're here in an area that is suffering from some pretty horrendous, consequences of climate change. And, the industry as a whole right now is it's belching out enormous amounts of CO2. That's not a good thing. And I have a hard time seeing how the young generation is going to put up with that, right? I think this next generation is going to be, militant about climate change. And I think that's good. And so I think the industry as a whole has got to find different ways of doing that, whether that's green energy, different ways of doing confirmation of transactions. That's what we try to do with the XRP ledger. It doesn't use meaningful amounts of electricity. But the other big thing is, I think after looking at it, we quickly realized that the world is not going to be dominated by a single blockchain. It's just impossible that everybody is going to organize inside a distributed ledger and they're going to be trading just that one digital asset. I think we all kind of accepted that. Early days, it was, wow, this is incredibly exciting. It could replace everything. But I think we all kind of understand now this is going to be a great diversity of different ledgers, of different currencies, whether they be fiat, digital assets, gaming assets. There's going to be all kinds of different things. So we need something in addition to a very efficient distributed ledger, and we think XRP ledger is the most efficient out there. But also you need derivatives of this blockchain technology, and specifically interoperability protocols. So we believe in something very strongly called ILP, interledger protocol. And so very differently from digital assets, that's a way of wiring together all of the world's ledgers, all of the world's currencies, so that just like the internet, value can now move like data does. So we call that an internet of value. And internet of value needs both of those things. It needs interoperability protocol, which is not a ledger, doesn't hold state, doesn't have a currency, super low level, something that every country, every company can get behind, which means it has to be very feature light. And then something that is very efficient in terms of how the digital asset works. And we think the biggest use case initially is going to be for rewiring our financial plumbing, how payments move around the world. Yeah. We think that's the most broken kind of aspect of globalization today. Data moves freely, goods move freely. We've talked about this before. It costs 4 cents to send a shirt clear across the country because of the shipping container. Yeah. We love shipping containers. But with money, that's broken. It takes days to move money cross-border. Yeah. It costs a fortune for particularly the people in the developing world. And it's also closed because it's a bilateral system rather than being an internet system. So we need that internet of value to be developed. And that's what we spend our time working on, is a replacement for SWIFT and correspondent banking. How do you get all of the payment providers, all of the wallets onto ILP? And then how do you use XRP as on-demand liquidity so that all of these providers don't have to keep balances all over the world because the process is so inefficient. And we think that's the winning kind of killer app. And then I think last group talked about a Cambrian explosion. Yeah. Then you get that Cambrian explosion.
So not a Bitcoin maximalist then?
we appreciate Bitcoin.
I feel like I could have asked you what your favorite color is, and still you have that down with the overview of the Ripple ecosystem. In the audience, who owns or has owned XRP? Okay, that's great. Who despises XRP and thinks Chris is the devil? No one. So things are getting, oh, we have one. So things are getting better, right? I don't know where I was going with that, but I just wanted to see if anyone thought you were evil.
I
wanted to, we don't have a ton of time. I know you just did a much longer interview in Berkeley where you got into more of your personal history. I want to make sure we talk about a couple of things that are very important to you personally. And one of the things you've talked to me about is your personal desire to end child pornography in the world, and that you have a project that you're working on with other people. And I want to give you a chance to sort of talk about that and explore it a little bit, and also how Ripple can play a part.
Well, we give all credit to an organization called Thorn, which is an amazing organization, won the TED Audacious Award this last year, Thorn. Incredible group of folks. And what they're trying to use technology as a solution for what is basically a technology problem that's getting worse, and it's the proliferation of child sexual abuse material. I know it's a very difficult topic, but it's something I think we all have to address. And why that's relevant to crypto is that you're increasingly seeing, one, the material is skyrocketing right now. And that's, obviously that's terrible.
Through encrypted apps, right?
Yeah, it's Tor, obviously, which is a very important technology for privacy. And this is the problem, right? We've got to get more privacy in the world. And we've got heroes in crypto working on that. Zuko, who founded Zcash. That is awesome. I mean, because they are working on privacy, which we need more of that to end this problem of surveillance and hacking. Absolutely, you need that. But at the same time, you see this kind of explosion of this horrible material, and we just have to solve both of those things, right? So
without breaking encryption.
Without breaking encryption. And of course now the world is moving to more end-to-end encryption and communication. Everybody agrees that's going to create another explosion in the sharing of material. So, but this position somehow that you either have privacy and all this abuse, or you end abuse and you have no privacy, that's like unacceptable. We have all these geniuses in the room here in this industry. We've got to figure this out. I think there are ways of doing that. There are a lot of people working on that, but I think that can be accomplished. And it's important to crypto because right now the payment vehicle of choice for this material is crypto. It used to be credit cards, that was shut down, then it was barter, and now it's increasingly crypto. There's some good news in that if we all kind of get together on solving it. There's a great company called Chainalytics. We all know, we've invested in it. Phenomenal people, and they are catching these people because they're looking at the use of crypto in this material, and actually it's tipping off authorities to what's going on. So again, I think crypto could be the good guys here. Maintain privacy, end the abuse. We can do both of those things, and if we don't, though, sometimes the problem in tech world is, and this is why there's a backlash, is like we're so focused on the goodness of our tech and kind of protecting freedom, it starts looking like indifference to the outside world. And then you see the backlash happening with regulators and clamping down. It's kind of what's happening with Facebook, for example. And I think if we get ahead of it by working with Thorn and also working with EFF on protecting privacy, that's on the other side.
What's the EFF's position on Thorn?
They're both great, and we love EFF.
Are they against it now, or are they working with Thorn?
They're increasingly, I think both sides know that these are both priorities. So my hope, and we're trying to increasingly get those kinds of folks working together. Because it's only when those, good people on both sides are working together. We can solve this.
So I'm a libertarian. I know you're not, but at first when we talked about Thorn, I was worried about how they were approaching the industry, but I've done some research on it, and they do it without breaking encryption. They do it with hashing images and sort of creating a blacklist. And it doesn't stop all child pornography, but it can definitely stop the viral spread. And I think it's pretty interesting. And so I urge people to, I know there's a strong libertarian bent in crypto, but I urge people to look into Thorn and form opinions with an open mind.
And contribute to what they're doing as well, both with resources and knowledge, frankly. So.
What's your opinion on all the China stuff? So China was sort of this sleeping giant in crypto, and then suddenly this announcement's made, and I think like within days there were 8,000 new crypto events that happened in China. How does that affect your strategic thinking around Ripple and XRP and opportunities there?
It's another phenomenal move. I mean, this is big news. In some ways, the Facebook news, even though it created some headwinds, it's big news because it's a big organization saying that this is critically important technology. And I think now with China's move, putting that on the list of critical technologies right up there with AI and quantum computing, that's huge. I think probably is a watershed moment. I think what it means, though, is obviously the U.S. regulators have got to step up. I think they're doing a pretty good job, but we haven't. Wait. Got to give them credit. It's hard. Okay, so it's hard work.
Let's take the statement of we think the U.S. regulators are doing a pretty good job. Let's wrap that up and let's put that over here for one moment, right? Let's continue with China, but I want to just come back to that.
This is being recorded, so they are going to see all that. So,
because they're bastards. I mean, they really. I think we have a difference of opinion on the U.S. regulatory ability and willingness to do a good job. But back to China, yeah.
Well, at the same time, though, U.S. leads, I have to say, they have led in the whole internet revolution.
Internet revolution, which was awesome because they didn't mess it up. We
could have gone either way, though. There was a critical moment in '97 when they laid out a framework, and that's kind of what you need here, and we haven't done that yet. So, but the other difference, though, is finance is just way more complicated than when we're just dealing with data, right? It's way more complicated. Words can do so much, money can buy bullets, right? So the consequences are more severe. So I get that, I respect it's a really hard thing, but we've got to step it up. And with China's announcement now, I think we're really in danger of falling behind and sending more companies abroad or sending, kind of cutting out the U.S. from even dealing with the U.S. And, that would be absolutely tragic. So. But the good news is I think the administration gets that. Yeah. And we got to make our cases. We've opened an office in D.C. I think we all have to have a place there.
You think the administration gets that?
I think so. I think this administration is pro-innovation. Yeah.
You think he understands it?
Well, I think the
let's take that one and let's put that one over here as well. But back to China, what's the Ripple opportunity? And I don't know, have you done deals with banks in China? Is it over more through Hong Kong, or is there some opportunity here for Ripple and for XRP to have a bigger footprint in China like it has in Korea, for example?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a market that we're absolutely committed to. You have to be committed in the long term, and I think you also have to go in with a very neutral. Yeah. This cannot be something that is trying to be dictating how things are going to work, right? So it's got to be very neutral, and it's got to be shown as being positive. And in my view, this technology for China is very positive because it would make it easier for other countries to use the RMB, for example. Yeah. And I actually think, and this is the same situation for the US and for Europe, I think blockchain technology, once you have an internet of value, the big four get stronger, the big four currencies, right? The USD, the Euro, the Yen, and RMB, because now they're easier to get throughout the world. And I think that's very positive for China. It's very positive for the US, very positive for Europe. And I think that's the case you have to go in making. But you can't come in there and try to say, hey, we're here to disrupt you or something like that. Got to get rid of that stupid disruption word, just for good. So, sorry. All right.
All right, let me pick up one of these guys over here. So we have, let's bring this over where the SEC is doing a good job. Now, I understand that oh, you didn't say the SEC. You said U.S. regulators are doing, what did you say? You said that they are.
They're working hard.
They're working hard.
They're working hard. There's a lot of cross currents here. There are a lot of bad guys. There's a lot of good stuff going on.
What's the good stuff?
It's hard to tell. Well, rewiring the financial system of the world. Getting an internet of value is a fundamentally good thing.
Well, that's good stuff in crypto.
What's good stuff for the world?
The regulators, like if you took it,
they understand that. I think they understand that our SWIFT correspondent banking is antiquated. It's broken. We need a new system.
God, you are just so on point. You are just so on point. You got right back in.
Well, everybody understands.
No,
I think.
Look, it's a fair point.
No, the ad networks that run the internet as we know it. That I think everybody wants to throw that out, and web monetization through blockchain technologies is a solution there.
But you would agree that the SEC is the single greatest evil in stopping the U.S. from being competitive in crypto. You would say that, right?
I'm going to take back your socks. Keep
Let's put this back over there. I know you can't say things that I can say but I know how you really feel about that. But the Trump gets it.
This is his own. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to go too deep into this.
I did not say that. So
actually, I'm going to put the Trump one back over there. We're not going to talk about that.
But you have to admit, though, this is the best fintech environment we've ever had.
So you're a big Trump supporter.
Well, what I support is not too much regulation, right? Otherwise, sometimes you try to go after the big banks. The big banks are fine. They got a ton of money, a ton of lawyers, and you end up crushing all the entrepreneurs. And we saw that after the financial crisis. Peer-to-peer lending, for example, could have been an amazing kind of new type of bank. And frankly, I think it got crushed by things that came out of the financial crisis. That's a bummer.
Okay, so maybe you're not going to want to touch this one too, but I often see the leaders in our world, the crypto world, and not naming anyone particular, but the leaders as being somewhat, I don't know, insane. It's sort of like where it's an echo chamber. It's almost a religious doctrine being created where they talk to each other about what's good and what's not good. But it seems like very little real world sort of discussions are happening with customers. And I think, and again, you can agree or disagree with that. Ripple clearly talks to customers, banks, users every day. What are your thoughts on like the state of crypto sort of as a religion in general?
Yeah, I mean, this is, talking to people around Silicon Valley, it can make you feel very smart and powerful, and like we're just so much better than all these idiots, and that's where we do go wrong. I mean, it's fun. This is a fun environment that we all live in around here, but it can't be an echo chamber. There's nothing more humiliating than going out and talking to customers and hearing what they really think, or how little they think, or how much they don't care, or what does this mean for my daily life, the bottom line. And we need to do that all the time. So once you start, living in the world of your customers, boy, that really changes, what your priorities are, and getting that product market fit. Of course, you have to do that. And it's really hard, and it is humiliating, especially when you're a startup that is, no one's heard of, and you got to go in there, and you got to take 100 no's to get your one yes. But it's so important. I think it's important for every startup. And in crypto, you're right. I think that has been kind of the way we rolled on a lot of things, and we have to break out of that.
You talked about in the first part of your answer, you talked about like how sometimes we feel like we're gods in technology and in crypto, and you said the little people, but the little people are the ones that actually are the people. And if we're not talking to them and we just assume what they want, you end up with bullshit. I mean, you end up with nonsense, right? And so, I was thinking,
we have to solve problems.
We have to sell cars?
We have to solve problems. The bottom line, you have to.
Which Ripple does. People use XRP today to move money cross-border every day, and across the country, and all of that. And people know Bitcoin has a use case. But I was thinking about like ETH and like what ETH does, and we hold a lot of ETH and we love it, and we love Vitalik and we love the whole team.
That's awesome.
But it's like, what is ETH's use case right now? And the only real answer is DeFi, which is great. But as far as I can tell, DeFi is mostly used by crypto holders right now to lend their crypto to other crypto holders to borrow to get into leveraged transactions in crypto. And that's fantastic, but it's completely not bringing new people into the ecosystem as far as I can tell. And I don't know, do you have thoughts on that, or am I just,
Well, I mean, I had a general thought on kind of, how is crypto actually going to be used? And you're right on Bitcoin. I think it has really carved out this area of stored value, and that works. It does, as a store of value. I think with XRP around things like web monetization, convincing content creators, there's a great company called Coil, which I think, they're out with customers every day, and the customers are responding. Things like what Forte is doing in the game.
Can you explain Coil? I'm not sure. Does anybody know what Coil is in the audience? We're investors, and a few people do.
Yeah, Stefan Thomas, an incredible genius, kind of one of the early Bitcoin developers, and his vision was, how do you get back to the original web, which is supposed to be more democratic, not controlled by the eight people that control it in the world today, but replacing kind of that workaround, which was ad networks, with the ability to pay in tiny amounts of, you're consuming content, packets of information, and you're paying for it in packets of value. And that's what they've actually built. And now they have deals with Imager, fantastic company, Mozilla, and they're making a difference. So, but that is, they had to do that by talking to those content creators of how do you get out of the trap of these big platforms. Forte, another great example of a gaming platform company, had some great announcements just a couple days ago around these gaming.
Forte you acquired.
Forte we invested in.
You invested in.
Yeah, it's an independent company, right? So, and they're doing some great stuff around, how do you take these assets that are in gaming environments and make it so they can be assets that can move around the world, right? Just like things of value, which they are. People pump incredible amounts of money into these gaming platforms. Wouldn't it be nice if you could, have a secondary market for them, or they could be invested by Wall Street companies eventually? Who knows? They just become assets in the world. And they do that using ILP, right? The interoperability. So you have that, use XRP then as the bridge currency of that gaming asset to any other type of thing of value. And again, it's what did those gaming developers need? Because they have specific needs, and that filled a gap. And it's the same thing with cross-border payments using XRP for on-demand liquidity. Boy, having those early, meeting after meeting with a MoneyGram over years and years to explain how this works, why it's a benefit. Again, long slog, but once you get the light going off by talking to customers, it really improves things.
If people, I didn't think about this before, but Ripple has made a number of investments in this space. If people in this audience, there's developers here, they want to build in the ecosystem, how do they go about contacting, who at Ripple is sort of in charge of looking at these new companies and deals? Is it Ethan Beard, or is it
Ethan Beard is a phenomenal guy. Used to kind of a key guy at the Facebook early platform, Android platform over with Google, and just a phenomenal guy. Runs Spring,
which is sort of an in-house venture group?
Yeah, effectively, and also supporting folks in the ecosystem and trying to make tools that make it easier to use ILP and the XRP ledger. They're doing some great work there. So encourage anybody to seek out what Ethan is doing. And
what's Ethan's phone number? Do you know his phone number off there? I assume on the website there's some way to. I know I can get in touch with them if there's people.
Isn't it on the back of your shirt?
It's well, I think that's it. I appreciate your time. I think what we agreed on is that the SEC is evil. And I don't know, I think the other thing was that everybody is crazy in this industry, right? Except that's it. No.
I think it's time to go.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.